What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome. I've missed you guys. I hope everybody's doing well, both physically and mentally, staying safe, hanging in there, and having some fun on the side, like sourdough or hard cider, for example. I'll give you a quick update on sourdough. My starter is still going strong after about a year and a half. I've been playing around with having a little higher hydrated sourdough, a little more water content for a little lighter crust, but it's been great. It's been a year and a half. I've left it refrigerated for 2 weeks and still had the starter be fine. So happy sourdough life. Hope that's the same for my sourdough homies out there. I hope you guys are still having fun and experimenting. But today we're going to talk about hard cider. This is the intro video, and I'm going to call it the intro because I'm going to just talk through the process a little bit and go through supplies and ingredients. I grew up in the San Juans, and Dad had a cider press and still does. So we made cider with apples from his little orchard every single fall, and so it's been a fall family tradition for me for as long as I can remember. What's new is Dad always wanted hard cider. He always wanted to try, and he would leave it out and hope that it would turn. And it always got a little bit fizzy, a little sparkly and yummy, and then quickly turned to vinegar and super gross. So I did some research last year and had a successful batch and had a ton of fun doing it. I'm gonna share what I did last year, and it is cider season. We've been pressing Wenatchee apples, so I'm going to go through the process right alongside you guys. Interestingly, much like sourdough, if you remember when we made sourdough, when we were first building the starter, we had a bowl of fruit beside it to encourage natural yeast to help that starter, and that's part of fermentation, just like making hard cider. The yeast eats the sugars and poops out carbon dioxide and alcohol, and so that's what we're going for. The interesting thing, and why it never worked growing up, is the wild yeasts that are in the skins of the apples are super unpredictable, as along with any bacteria that's on your skin or any other germs. So sanitation, first of all, is a huge part of hard cider, and so is controlling the yeast. So very roughly how the process works is we press the cider, we filter out the big chunks of particles, then we put a little tablet it's called Campden tablet, and what that does is it kills all the natural yeasts from the apples so that it's dormant, so that there's no yeast at all. What happens then is you have the regular juice, and then you can add a very controlled amount of yeast, special yeast that is much more predictable. So that's what we're going to be doing. The fermentation process takes a while. It took me, online it says 10 days, 7 to 10 days. It took me about 3 weeks for it to fully ferment last time. And then after that, you can either bottle it straight away or you can let it rest to develop the flavors. You can add some more sweetener, and I'll go through all of that in detail as we go. But first, let's talk about the supplies you need, because starting tomorrow, I will be going through the process from scratch. Number one, you need a container. These are called carboys. They come in 1, 3, 5 gallon sizes, at least a gallon. I'll be using a gallon, but I have several 5 gallons that'll be going at the same time. 1 gallon works fine. These have, here's another mason jar that you can adapt. I drilled a hole in the lid for it to fit the airlock. You also need an airlock that allows gases to leave, but not oxygen to get back in. That's a huge part of fermentation. We don't want oxygen in there at all. These valves also fit these, obviously, and can be adapted for this lid. These are really cool because they come with a airtight lid as well as the stopper, so that's perfect. By the way, I will post a link to all of this in the comments section, both to the process and to the supplies list. So that's first, you need a container. Several is great. It's actually awesome to have a food grade bucket, something bigger than this container so that you can transfer things while you sanitize and clean. And speaking of sanitizing, this product, Star San, is what I use. It was recommended. It's just a surface sanitizer. So I put it in a spray bottle with the right mix of water, and you just spray it onto whatever surface. And it's awesome because after like 60 seconds, that surface is completely sanitized and you're ready to pour your juice straight in. Sanitizer is a must. I mentioned the Campton tablets. These little packets, again, I'll post a link. They come in little aspirin-shaped pill size, and you plunk in one pill, you crush and plunk in one of these for every gallon of cider that you're gonna make. We'll go through that later, but you need Campton tablets. They are potassium metabisulfate tablets, okay? Optionally, you can get what's called pectic enzyme powder. I tried this last year and I'm not gonna use it this year. We'll just see what the difference is. What this stuff does is it's a clarifying, it reduces the haze from the cider, and it makes it super sparkly clear. But I found when we did cider that haze, there's apple particles in the haze, and they really give it that cidery flavor. I didn't like it. Well, it tasted like apple juice, not apple cider, once clarified. And I'll just show you real quick. For example, you can see that is fairly hazy, and I plan to keep it that way this time. But it certainly doesn't hurt it. If you're interested in clear, crystal clear cider, then that pectic enzyme is what you want. Also optionally, you can buy what's called a hydrometer. This little guy floats in water and it measures the water density, and it changes it floats at different levels. I think we might have talked about this when we did ginger beer, at different levels depending on how much sugar saturation is in the water. Like I said, the yeast eats the sugar and poops out alcohol and carbon dioxide. So the sugar content of the water gradually reduces until there's no sugar left. That's when the cider is done. And this little guy helps you read that. It also helps you calculate how much alcohol is in the cider, depending on how much sugar you put in, which we will talk about later. But it's optional because you can pretty much tell when the bubbling stops, when fermentation has slowed down. So I liked it. It was fun to see the differing. I would take samples once in a while and see how much it had changed, but you don't have to buy one. And then yeast. So last year I used this Red Star Premier Blanc active dry yeast, and it was fine. I thought the cider turned out great, and I had lots of compliments on it. It was not overly dry. It still had a pretty decent appley taste, but as I read later, it's not the favorite. And so this year from Brewer's Yeast, I'm trying this Cider House Select. This is on Amazon, and we'll see. We'll see if it's any different. Maybe it's no different. Maybe it's a ton different. So I would recommend either of those, but I'm going to be trying the Cider House Select. And then, so that's ingredients, right? Then you need juice and sugar, and that's it. The juice can literally be store-bought apple juice if you want. We're pressing fresh ciders. We have Fuji's and Honeycrisps this year, which is super fun. So if you're anywhere nearby, let me know in the comments and come press some cider. And then it can be literally as fresh as can be. Super fun especially for the kids. But any store-bought juice will work. Cider is better. The only thing you have to look for is juice that does not have preservatives added. And so find some fancy juice at Whole Foods or PCC or something that says no preservatives, because the preservatives will fight the yeast. They'll counteract the fermentation, and that's not what we want. So that is the preview. That is the list of ingredients. That is a little bit on the process. I'm not sure how many videos that we will do, how many will be in the series, but stay tuned. I'll be doing one a day, at least for a little while. And step one is to have the fresh juice, have all of your supplies and ingredients, and I'll walk you through after that. The first thing we're going to do is, like I said earlier, we're going to kill that natural yeast that's present from the peels of the apples, and we'll go from there. Super fun, really a fun fall project. Everybody loves it. You can mess around with how much alcohol you want, how strong you want it to be, based on how much sugar there is, and we'll go from there. So good to see everybody. Like I said, hope you're doing well, and we'll see you tomorrow for part 1.